All right. So if you watch the first part that I did live last week, we created this part using a very normal sketch like this one. And in this video, I'm going to show you how you can, change the feature, because I showed you how you can edit the base sketch in the previous video. And in this one, I'm going to show you how you can change the geometry. Like you realize this feature, this boss extrude that you used and you added in your feature tree here is not the right tool to create the model you're going to create in SolidWorks. So for that, you simply click on this feature and press delete on your keyboard to get rid of this feature. Now, once you do that, you get rid of the feature which was built on top of this 2D sketch which you have here. So you only delete the top layer, which was the feature, and the base sketch will still remain. Now, what can we do with this base sketch still? We didn't talk about the other tools that SolidWorks has in its feature tab. The next one is a simple one called Revolved Boss or Base. This tool, it allows you to take any single closed area and revolve it or rotate it around one axis and create the geometry. It doesn't have to be a full turn. It doesn't have to be a 360. It can be any amount that you define for it. It could be half a turn, but it could be any shape. All right. For example, a donut is nothing more than a circle that is rotating around an axis, or a cylinder is a rectangle that is rotating around an axis. Now let me demonstrate. If I select this tool, first SolidWorks asks you, or asked me in this case, to select the sketch. Now we have one, so I just click on that. Immediately, SolidWorks, this Revolve feature shows me the preview of the soon to be solid body according to my selection, because it's important what entity you will click on. If you pay attention closely, you will see, because I clicked on this straight edge here, it's highlighted in blue. So immediately, as default, this edge will be selected here. Look, axis of revolution. And therefore, the whole thing is revolving around that axis. If you don't want that, you can press here, select that axis on the property manager of Revolve, and press delete on your keyboard. Now you can choose any other axis that you want. Not all of them though. I will get there. I will get there soon. If I pick this one, I will get a different geometry, right? Because this closed sketch is now revolving around this entity. Now let's just switch to this one. You get a different one. Oh, it was the first one we picked. If I pick this one, you get a different geometry. And let me just delete. Now, these two would not work. Why not? If I pick this one, why don't I get any preview? Or this one for that matter. If I pick this one, I also do not get any preview. Hi all of them. We are continuing the previous session. So this doesn't work because if it would have been the axis of revolution or this one, then by revolving this specific geometry around that axis, you will try to interfere a volume. So this area specifically will try to be revolved within itself. Therefore, it does not make sense, and SolidWorks does not have any solution for it. Therefore, you do not get any of it. So, was I clear on that one? If I'm not, let me know. It works because if I revolve this sketch around this axis, none of the other entities are going to be interfering with each other. But if I take this one, some entities will interfere, therefore I cannot do it. So this was that, very simple, and we click OK. Now that I have a geometry, let's see what else we can do with this. Hi guys, hi Diva. I like that dabbing. All right, we have 3 other features here, and I'm going to cover swept boss or base in this video and leave these 2 for future videos, not the next video, not the one after, because these 2 require some pre-knowledge that supposedly you don't have at this point, and therefore I'm not gonna get ahead of myself. So in order to teach you about this tool, which is a very interesting one, I have to get rid of what I have here. So let's just select this and press delete on the keyboard as usual, and I will be left with the same base sketch again. I can delete that as well. Now let's just start from the top, shall we? Activate the sketch. By the way, if you don't know what I'm doing, just watch part 1, because activating the sketch is something I covered before. Now I'm going to draw something random. All right, I'm going to pick spline and just drop some random points like this. And you know what? I'm going to close the loop. It might even be more interesting. Yeah, that's fine. So, and rebuild this sketch. Now I have a closed geometry, but it's not the area of this geometry that I'm interested in. It's the path. It's the whole sketch on itself. In order to use this feature, you need a profile. Now, before I create the profile, let me tell you exactly what feature does and when you can consider working with that feature, when you need it actually. This feature allows you to take one profile, that is one closed sketch, such as a circle, a rectangle, this one, what I just drew. It's a closed sketch, right? So you can draw whatever you want, and you can define a path for it. It does not have to be a closed loop. It can be an open loop. It can be a straight line. It could be a circle. It could be anything. It could be this one. And you can take that profile and start moving that profile along that path and create the geometry you wish. All right, if I'm going to show you any object at hand, I have this Christmassy looking cup over here, and if you pay attention to the handle, like this one, if I were to design this in SolidWorks, immediately I would see this as the path and the cross section of this handle, which is something like a rectangle with some rounded edges, as the profile. So I would draw a path like this and draw a rectangle and move it along this path. You know what? I'm gonna delete the path that I just drew, and I'm gonna create this mark because it takes about a couple of seconds. Oh, my bad. I just created a new assembly file because it was on my default on my SolidWorks. So nothing fancy, I'm just creating a new file. And we just learned how to use Revolve. So it's a good example actually. I am going to pick a line and draw the ugliest mug you have ever seen in your life, because I'm not gonna use any dimensions or any fancy lines. So I'm just gonna use some straight line like this, close the sketch like that, go to Features tab, pick Revolve, and pick this vertical line here as the axis of revolution, and click OK. So supposedly this is our mug, okay? Now it needs a handle. For the handle, I told you we need to use this tool. So let's just look at it from this angle. By the way, this menu shows up on your screen when you press the spacebar on your keyboard, right? And when you press here, it will become perpendicular to your monitor. Now the handle is going to be here, right? So I have to draw a path. For the path, you need a plane. So this plane is here. It's not good for me. This plane is down there. Not good. Right plane is the right plane. So I'm going to pick it, activate the sketch on it, go to the sketch tab, and let's just pick spline. Place the first point here, another point here, and another point here. Now this is still active, and I can get rid of it by pressing escape on the keyboard. Easy. So let's just, you know what? Let's just leave it like that because I don't want to get it too complicated. And we rebuild this sketch. Okay? So this is our path. Now we need a profile for this path. Let's just show you. You know what? Let me think out loud, because you know what's going on. I can create a profile for this, but I have to create a plane first in this case, and you don't know how to do it. So I'm thinking, how should I wrap it up and present it like I knew what I was doing all along without you understanding it? It's very difficult. Got it. So let me go to this feature, pick this swept boss or base. As I told you, you have to pick up a profile and you have to define a path. Now in this case, because I kind of cornered myself here and I created everything, I am going to start off with the second option of this feature that it offers and then work it backwards. The second option is you only have to define a path, and SolidWorks assumes your profile on default is nothing more than a circle. So when you click on circular profile, your profile automatically circles, so you do not have to create it. Now I'm going to use that in this case and pick this path, and you see the preview of the handle. Now this is a little bit too thick because the value of this profile is too big. Maybe I can reduce it in half and click OK. Now I know it's not perfect because the handle is not connected here and also is not connected there. The reason for that is the path was starting exactly at the tangential point on the surface of the mug. So if it would have been a little bit longer at both ends, the handle would have gone into the wall thickness of the mug and we would have had a much smoother handle. We can fix that, no worries. As always, if we open this feature, hi Shervin110, welcome. We can see the base sketch for it, which is the profile, and we can click once on it and pick edit sketch from this pop-up menu. Now again, spacebar, make it normal to your screen, and we can see we can drag this point into the mug. We cannot. Okay, it is getting embarrassing. The reason we cannot put it into the mug is because we put it exactly on the edge of the mug. Therefore, on default, SolidWorks assigns a sketch relation to that point. We learned about sketch relations in part 1. Go watch it. In order to get rid of it, I will select that point by one simple left click and see its existing relation here. Select it, press delete on the keyboard to get rid of it. Now you can drag it into the mug a little bit. Not too much, otherwise the handle will go inside of the mug. We want to end up somewhere between the outer shell of the mug and the inner shell. If you're not sure where your point is exactly ending up, you have the option to select display style, change it to hidden lines visible. Where is my tea, by the way? I had a tea here somewhere. Did I drink it? So this point is now in the wall thickness of the mug. This is the dashed line that represents the inner surface, and this is the outer surface, so it is approximately okay. Now I'm gonna do this for the endpoint as well. Select it, select the existing relation of that point, press delete, get rid of it, drag it into the wall thickness a little bit, and rebuild the path. Now change the display style back to shaded with edges. Now you see the handle is now perfectly connected to the mug, even though it looks a little bit ugly, and I myself would not buy a mug that ugly. So how about we actually spend the next 10 minutes create a very good looking mug, and I will tell you how to actually create a profile that is not circular here to create a good looking handle. All right. Any objections? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Hi Gary, welcome to the show. Well, if it is a question, right. I will get back to you soon. I don't forget your question, Gary. So let me just press Control N and create a new part. And this time we're going to create a better looking mug. See how difficult it is to create a mug. The first one took what? 3 minutes? Did anybody measure the time? This time I'm going to use line again. This is this is an empty mug. It's not the T is not inside. I am an engineer, Diva. So this is a straight line, and we're gonna use spline to give it a little bit of curviness, make it a little bit better looking, something like that maybe. There you go. And I pressed escape to get rid of this active sketch. Now I want to create the closed sketch, as we know we need in order to use Revolve to create the body of the mug, because at the moment I'm only creating the cross section of this mug, which is something like an L or reversed L depending on which side you're going to draw, and it has to be closed. So for that there is a feature on the sketch tab, offset entities, that allows you to create an offset of your sketch with the value that you define. So this is a 10, too big, 2 would do. You can reverse it on the inside, which is what I prefer at this point, and click OK. Hey, let me just Control Z because I forgot what I said. Offset, pick the sketch, reverse it on the inside, and make sure to uncheck this point base geometry, because if you do not uncheck it, the first original sketch that we drew will turn into something for construction. Without getting into much detail, just uncheck it for now. We will get to that. So we just created an offset of this sketch, and now I'm going to use this option, 3-point arc, to place 1 point here, 2nd point here, and the 3rd point somewhere around here, right? To have some curviness, because we don't want to have a very sharp edge on our mug. And this time I'm going to use line to draw a vertical line and close the whole sketch right about here. Now there is another feature called sketch fillet. I'm going to use it, select this point, and define a value that makes sense. 10 is way too big for that. Even 1 is too big for that. I SolidWorks, sometimes you do stuff, man. Okay, we do not round it now. The thing is, I don't want to get into investigation of what's the reason behind everything. We just leave it like this, sharp on the bottom. And we go to the Features tab, pick Revolve. We need 1 axis of revolution, which is this vertical line, and we click OK. Now it looks a little bit more copy-like, and in order to round this sharp edge on the bottom, I have a feature on the Features tab called Fillet, which I can use to select this edge and define a value for it. Let's just say 2, and OK, much better. So the handle, we need to use a plane and draw the path, then draw our profile and sweep it along that path. Okay, so we have a plane here, and we're going to draw our path on this plane, front plane. So we go to the Sketch tab, click on the sketch to activate the sketch mode, press spacebar on the keyboard and make it normal to your monitor. Now we are good to start drawing the path. Again, I'm going to use spline. Click once. This time we're gonna do it right from the top. We're not gonna do it wrong and then go back and edit it, okay? Change the display style to hidden lines visible. Now we see this is the outer shell of the mug, and this is the inner shell of the mug, and we're going to place a point somewhere along here. Showing my keyboard would be a little bit challenging, but I will think about it. That's a good point, thanks. So 2nd point, 3rd point, and fourth point. All right, does it look good? Verdict, does it look good, or should I change it? Looks like an ear. All right, I'll just leave it at that. I think we're good like this. This is going to be the path of our handle. I'm going to rebuild it. By the way, guys, I'm a little bit focused. I don't want to get off track. I will read all of your questions and I will answer them right after I will create the handle, okay? So now that we have the path, we can change the display style back to shaded with edges. And we need to draw a profile that we can sweep along this path. Now, the question here is, where do we have to draw this profile on? Because we have learned that in order to draw anything, you need to have a 2D plane. And at the moment, I only have 3 planes: front, top, and right. And none of them are in the right position for me to draw my profile on. If I'm going to draw my profile, let's just say on the right plane, it's going to be here with this distance from the handle, because the mug is like this. The right plane is cutting this mug in half, right? And the path starts at this point. So you cannot have your profile here and the path with an offset somewhere there and expect that this profile could be swept on that path. It should be connected to the path. Therefore, I'm going to have to move this plane a little bit closer to the path, and then when the plane is at the right position, start drawing the profile on it. Okay? So while this plane is selected, again like this, one left click on it would suffice to select it. I will go on the feature tab, see this reference geometry here, click on it and click on plane. So I know the plane that I'm going to create is completely parallel to this one, only at an offset distance. I have either an option to measure this distance and adjust the value for it, or select parallel and pick this point, which is the starting point of the path. So when I select parallel, I define a parameter for SolidWorks to create a duplication of this right plane at that point that I'm going to define, which is this one. So I'm going to click OK. Now I have created a new plane which starts at the starting point of the path. Now I can click on this plane once, activate the sketch on that plane, press spacebar on the keyboard, make it normal to your monitor, and go draw my profile, which is going to be a rectangle. Now in this case, I'm going to choose this type, which is center rectangle. Maybe turn the view a little bit because the whole object is gray and the path is also gray and I don't see it really well. I'm going to place the first point on the starting point of the path and draw something like this. So let me just rotate it. Spacebar. Yeah. So how thick is this? I'd say about 15 millimeters. So let's just do that. Or you know what? We didn't measure the whole mug before. Let's just do it optically. Something like this. Now this is going to be the profile that I'm going to use to sweep on this path. Therefore, I first have to rebuild this profile to have it fixed there. Now I go on the feature tab, go on swept bus, pick the first sketch, which is the profile, the rectangle. Now I'm going to pick the path like this, and it looks good. Click OK. So this is the mug. This plane is unnecessary, so one left click on it is enough to click on hide from this menu. We don't need to see it. The handle is a little bit sharp on these edges, so I'm gonna choose fillet, which we just learned how to work with. When you pick fillet, you can either select an edge or surface. I'm gonna pick this surface, and the inner surface, and change the value to something like 0.2. It's good. Now we have some rounded edges. Not bad, huh? This is the mug. And while I'm going to render this on Keyshot, I can answer your question. So fire them away. Starting from the top. Alale, I answered the question. Thank you for being here. Dabbing, Deva. Improving courses. Thank you. Shervin, I ran into similar problem when connecting a small cylinder perpendicular to a large cylinder, a small tube inside a large tube. Yeah, Gary, that was the same issue that I ran into. You saw it from the previous model. You just have to extend your path a little bit so it would interfere into the body of your model. This is something that you can do really easy without any dimensions. So the part would extend into the model. There are other ways to fix it, but at this level, beginner level, this is what you can do to fix it fast. No, I did not find my T. I told you I am an engineer. Yes. Hi Reza, Persian. Yes, I am. And Shervin says it will be cool to see your keyboard. Is it possible to show my keyboard as an overlay on the keyboard? I don't know how. If you know how, I can actually show you what I'm pressing on the keyboard, because I try to tell you every time I press something, but I don't know if it's possible. Come on guys, come on. The ones who know how to do it, let me know. Then I would do it. Do you have any 3D printer? Not at home, no. Which is where I am at the moment. I hope you are too, because we can all leave the house. I don't have any 3D printer here. Recommend rounding the profile rather than... well, Gary, that's a very good question. Gary is asking, do I recommend rounding the base sketch, the 2D sketch, and then just create the feature on top of it, or create the feature on top of a sharp edge and then use fillet on the feature tab? So it all goes down to one thing, because if I'm going to show this, I have to explain it like this. Look, if I go to the evaluate tab, there is a feature here called performance evaluation that tells you what each and every one of these features that you have created and you see on your design tree over here takes off your rebuilding time. So this first sweep that I used takes about 50% of the time, and the second sketch takes about another 50%. This is a very simple model, and I have used only 2 features for it. So if I had a more complicated model, let's say this boat, oh, this is an assembly. Let me see if I have a complicated model that I can show you as one. Well, this is more like it. So if you have a model like this and you have so many features here, let me just go to the performance evaluation. You see like this circular pattern that is a feature used somewhere along this design tree takes about 40% of your why do I want to say refurbishment? Takes about 43% of your rebuilding time. If you use fillet on the feature tab, you are using a lot of your performance on that feature. So it's difficult to say do it like this or do it like that. It depends on your model. If you're creating something as complicated as this one that you're seeing, it is better to round the base sketch. And if you're working with the model like as easy as this one, it really doesn't matter. You can do it however you please. However, it is not a holy grail. It is case dependent. Sometimes you cannot use a sketch fillet because of and you have to use fillet, and vice versa. So it really depends on your model. Keyboard is not necessary for me because Yeah, thanks Diva for the feedback. Narrow, yeah, showing keyboard is not needed. Okay, thanks guys, that's a good feedback. SolidCam, no, I do not work with SolidCam, Marco. I have seen it, I have worked with it for 2 days. I have been working with SolidWorks for 13 years now, and I have worked with SolidCam for 2 days, but because I never needed it, and I really cannot tell you anything about it because I don't know. Alright guys, I don't know how many minutes it has been, but I hope it helped you a little bit. I was a little bit off track, especially when I am running out of my tea, so good. I don't see any new questions, and if this is the case, we can end this session right about here, and I will see you in the next session. By the way guys, I would really appreciate it if you learned something in this session, and if you want to see more of these live sessions, please take your time, and it doesn't take that long, but I would appreciate it if you just go and rate me in the link in the description below on Trustpilot. It really means a lot to me. It helps me a lot. Also, subscribing and liking is much appreciated as well. I really would love to see that. It kind of motivates me to put more of these live sessions and improve the quality as well. I do work with 3D printers now. I have been working with them for quite some time now, like at least 4 years. I started with Ultimaker 2, which is an FDM. Then we moved to Formlabs 2, then Formlabs 3 ultimately, which are SLA types, and they are really good. Yes, I believe this is the future, and it opens your hands in case of modeling, because before, when you wanted to create a new model, you had to take into account if that model is possible to be manufactured, if you can create a hole that complicated within the part with a milling or 5-axis machine. But now it takes all of those considerations away, especially for prototyping, rapid prototyping, and yes, I work with them. When is the next session? So Diva, I'm planning to do 2 live sessions a week, especially during these times that people are at home. So today is Thursday. I will try to do another one Sunday. How's that? Can I come up with some examples by using planes? Sure I can. Yes, I can. I do have a video on YouTube explaining planes as well. I think if you just search for creating new planes and search for my channel name, the first video should be that. But yes, definitely we get there, and I will try to make a video about hole reference geometry. And guys, thank you very much for watching. Wish you a good day, evening, depending on where you are. But thank you very much regardless. Thank you. Thanks, Gary. Bye.